Iowa.
We just got the #1
Draft pick, that's right.
That's right.
Get your state correct, Mr. Chairman.
committee.
We're hazing the chair.
No more second round questions. We're adjourned until the committee members do some customer service training.
I'm,
To the friendly representative from Iowa, the floor is yours for a second round.
thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for the time. I am so grateful that you yield that time to me. And again, thank you, Administrator Bukowski, for putting up with our antics today. I want to also express I love our Cedar Rapids CID, TSA, frontline workers are awesome. I see them every single week when I fly, twice a week, sometimes more, and they're great to work with. So I just would be remiss if I didn't mention that. And in that note, last year, obviously in this hearing, I brought up the story of Sergeant Dirks, and we've already talked about this, but the issues of course brought to the attention of you and your team about the challenges that veterans might be facing when they're going through airport security. And I want to thank you for working with us, setting up that walkthrough with Trent and Tracer. They were great sports. And Doug and Yolanda, our Cedar Rapids folks who helped us really showcase, and especially to local media, so that our constituents could know as well firsthand the issues that veterans with service animals might be facing. So can you speak a little bit to kind of the follow-up there? What's happened since that walkthrough? What are you doing to interface with veterans to make sure they have a better experience on the customer service side going through a checkpoint?
No, thank you, and thank you for facilitating that conversation with Sergeant Dirks and getting to meet him and his team, bringing them down to the airport, getting their feedback on things overall. Good news is that he has joined our multicultural coalition, so that's a great voice to have in that coalition. And we've already put out additional guidance on our webpage. Hey, if you're traveling with a service dog, here are the things you can expect going through the screening process. And we have a lot of social media capability within TSA too, so if somebody tweets that, it will give them that answer back literally within a couple of seconds. We also have put in place passenger support specialists throughout our system. So if any passenger thinks they need additional assistance in the screening process, they can call ahead and we will meet them and then help them get through the screening process, which is really good for them. It makes them feel valued and makes them not feel deprioritized in the entire system. It's also good for us because it makes it more efficient overall. So no, really appreciate the connect that you made there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. No, and I think that obviously there may be more work to do to make sure that's consistent across every airport experience, but I really appreciate you being willing to
thanks.
work with us on that. Another area that I wanted to just highlight, I know there's a lot of pressure on your technology budget at TSA. It's a concern, obviously, for the entire transportation ecosystem. We all need the latest technology, and we want to make sure that's deployed in a timely manner to handle these historic travel volumes, as you talk about, 3.1 million passengers potentially a day. We know TSA has a donation program for airports and airlines, the Capability Acceptance Process program. Is that sufficient, would you say, to really address these challenges with all the stakeholders in the industry?
Well, the capability acceptance process is a really good process, but it's not the full solution. And I really appreciate the airports and the air carriers that have donated technology to us. We've had one airport recently that donated $30 million worth of technology in a brand new checkpoint. And it's spectacular when you visit the checkpoint. I mean, you have a brand new checkpoint, you don't want to have the older machines that are there. You want the newest technology that's in place. The key thing from my perspective is, we have two key acquisitions going on right now. It's the X-ray acquisition or the CT acquisition and the identity verification technology acquisition. Those are both not going to get completed at current investment rates until the 2040s. One's 2042 for the X-ray.
2049.
Yeah, and 2049 for the identity verification. That's a very, very long time. I think part of the solution here would be to end that fee diversion and get that $1.6 billion back into aviation security, and that will give us a lot of flexibility. The other thing I think about a lot is, we should get ourselves away from doing block replacements of technology. We should just replace them in a routine.
Basis.
Exactly, because that way you'd have a steady stream. Vendors would see that addressable market out there. They'd invest more R&D, get more competition, a better product at the end of the day.
One other thing I want to follow up in the time I have left. How much time does it say over there?
I've got as much time as you want.
Oh, thank you, Administrator.
48 8 seconds.
You may change that tone after you hear my question. No. The Washington Post recently reported we had about 300 passengers who snuck past airport security in 2023. They've entered through exit lane areas, sneaking past ID check areas at TSA checkpoints. So what are you doing to address those breaches in airport security? Is it an exit lane staff issue? What do you think the issue is, and what are you doing to address it?
Sure. First and foremost, 0 of those passengers, none, got on board an aircraft without screening. So, you know, that might alarm you when you first look at it, but when you look at our, we have a layered process, and none got on board aircraft. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. The vast majority of people that did get back into the sterile area of an airport from the public area without being screened on their way back in were people who were outbound, coming off a flight, as they were going through, turned around and went back to get something that they thought they had lost. And so we see that, and we track those individuals to make sure we can locate them and then help them resolve whatever the issue is they had and escort them back out.
Did you have any that were malicious intent that you could identify?
Not that we identified, no. You know, we have in the checkpoint, evading the checkpoint operations, sometimes people game that, and we do have some people that have tried to do it at multiple airports just to see how far they can get. That's a bit malicious.
Yeah.
But part of the solution to the exit lane issue is putting technology in place so you can't go backwards
We have those doors and see the
exactly,
right.
right.
You're trapped, basically.
And those pay for themselves in about 3 or 4 years, rather than having people sit there and then just kind of watch folks to make sure they're flowing in the right direction. The other is, you know, eventually, once we get our identity verification technology in place, is to then put e-gates in place across. So that will prevent people from going around.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Administrator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.